Hey everybody, so this video today is about 7 things that I really love about Strava. Before we get into that, I'm going to go back to the very beginning of what may have sparked it, and that would be years of different training diaries that I've kept. They used to go to super simple to, kind of detailed of how much I rode during the week, average speeds, distances, had a little heart rate monitor thing, so kind of predicted calories. So a few years later, I'm getting into the power meter training. So this is just when I first got into the first versions of some different like WKO plus, things like that. So then I started doing more of a detailed, I would kind of plan out the months, and then this is just kind of what I did each week, a little more detailed. Well, fast forward to a few years ago, I found the whole Strava thing, and I'll break that down a little bit once we get to that point. But anyway, the number one thing that I love is it's just a great training diary. So, without having to write all these little details or whatever numbers down in a book, based off your computer, smart computer, whatever, it'll take all that info and just put it all. This is I clicked on a date here. So this would have been a particular week. It looks like actually the Rapha, the Festive 500 week there. So pretty big mileage week, but keeps track of all the details of each day, like where you rode and how far, and pretty much as in depth as you want it. And you can, go between, you get all these different years you can look back on if you want. Usually I'm just focused on, what's going on pretty much lately or whatever. But, anyway, you got all this other info there for, yearly stats and lifetime and all this other stuff that, you can really geek out on and so forth. But put pictures in and everything else. But, super easy to, you get done with your ride, you just click, on your newfangled computer, save the ride, and it automatically just takes it straight up to the Strava there. So, so, you can really be detailed about how much info that you want to see or whatever, and kind of as it is now, I've been commuting a lot, so I'm just using my basic bike, no heart rate monitor, no power meter or anything like that. It's mainly just going off miles and time and such. But yeah, it's, if you have a power meter, you can, if you get the premium subscription, I just use the free subscription of the Strava there app, whatever. And this is the basic, you can go through and analyze. They have their estimated power, but it'll tell you power and heart rate if you had those in the free version. But basically just goes through the profile of the terrain and then, a GPS based map there. So yeah, just good training diary. That's my favorite, one of my favorite things about it. The second would be kind of just the social aspect of it. Because as you follow other people, I'd follow a few of my buddies that I used to ride with back in Oklahoma City, and then just a few pros and, other people that seem like they're interesting, whatever. But, just going through here on Lawson Craddock's, this stage, whatever, 6 of this race, and you kind of see just the profile there that looks like it's relatively flat, and they do a little climb, and there's a long descent. You can see it there, and you can see the power drop, his heart rate drops, but the speed goes way up, so kind of just goes along with the terrain there. But I don't know, sometimes that's interesting to, there's lots of pros and things on there, but you can see your buddies or whatever. There's my buddy Rob. They did one of the rides there a while back. There's different clubs you can get into that you just join up with them, and then they have these weekly leaderboards or whatever, and it's kind of fun, kind of semi-competitive, I guess, but sometimes, but it's really just a more of a see how with your people that you used to ride with, or what they're doing. You can see their rides and stuff like that, whatever. So second feature that I really like are the flybys here. So the little flyby feature is basically you can go to a point in time so in this particular case, this is the Sunday Pro-Am Masters race. So I'm just picking out the guys that were on that C column there. That's how many, the most. Basically, if you look and see in the 90 percentile, they were doing the race with you or whatever. So you can click on that and just hit the play button, and it just replays the race as it played out. We can slow it down here a little bit, and that I took a little attack here and got formed a little breakaway, and so it was interesting because in my mind I thought got joined by 3 or 4 guys, and then we got joined by 3 or 4 others. But just by rewatching it here, I can see that the whole field eventually came back together, and then there was a split that formed. So it's just kind of one of those fun things to look at, after a race or whatever, and kind of fun to see how it went down. And there's also group rides. You can do the same thing. Sometimes I'll look at the group rides that my buddies are doing back home and see, there's all these little decisive kind of racy points, and it's fun to see how it all, what all went down and everything. So so the next thing is the segments. This is kind of what drew me to Strava in the first place, and probably what they get the most negative feedback from is just these little whatever. But this is a little segment here in town, the most popular one. It's Lookout Mountain Climb, basically. So it's got the KOM there. The kid, I think I've seen him out there riding it from a couple times there. Oh, Gavin. And anyway, that he's in the 1606. My best so far is 2252. So you can look at the whole leaderboard and see who's all on it or whatever. You can compare yourself to the I can basically put me and him side by side if we were our best times ever, and see how it played out. Pretty even there at the beginning, and then you can see where people, the elite athletes, how they can get up it or whatever. So just kind of fun and interesting aspect of it, and then of course it's always fun to try to, if you can grab some of your own KOMs or whatever, it's always just whatever. If you're a competitive person, it just makes it easy to do that or whatever. But yeah, initially that's kind of where there was, around Lake Hefner, I'd always wondered who had the fastest time around that thing. And so I looked, it's like there's got to be some kind of GPS-based app, and I found that Endomondo at first, and then I came across Strava, and it just, this is pretty cool, because it'll do that. And so, yeah, this is just pulling up some random KOMs that I have or whatever, and it's just it's one that was near where I used to live. Hadn't been ridden a bunch. You look at, yeah, I got the KOM, but there's only like maybe nine people that have ridden it. So, whatever. But there's some that are pretty big, or it's just fun to kind of see how you stack up in those sometimes. Yeah. So anyway, then what is this? The fifth thing I like about Strava, or I love, are the challenges. And primarily it breaks down to, honestly, for me, I think most guys kind of follow along with this too, but it's that festive 500 that I was kind of showing earlier the week there. So I don't know, I've done this 4 or 5 times, I think, maybe, but it's always kind of fun, get some buddies that go for it too. And it's, it's 300 miles, basically 310 miles in 8 days. So you definitely got to do some riding for sure, but sometimes with weather that time of year can get pretty epic. So I don't know, it always seems to be a pretty fun challenge to do, just something to push yourself and kind of mixes it up that you wouldn't probably normally do. All right, next thing, if you Google just Strava heat maps, you don't have to be a premium member to get this, but basically it's just going to pull up a global heat map. You click on bikes, and then just go to wherever town you're going to be visiting. You're moving to a new place, you're visiting somewhere, you want to see where to ride your bike, you want to see if there's some shortcuts in your own town that you don't know about yet. You just get on this thing and it will show you basically everybody that's on Strava or whatever, where they're riding or they've ridden or whatever, and it's the brighter the line there, that's the more popular route there. So it's I don't know, it's definitely nice, kind of just, yeah, I don't know, if you have no idea where you're going in a new town, you want to get somewhere, you can kind of scope you out a route using this, or you can, places you've ridden, maybe done it a few times and you're wondering what's, you saw this other trail going somewhere or whatever, and you can kind of just do some detective work. So I don't know, I've used it quite a bit, and I found it to be pretty helpful. So you can zoom it in there and get the streets and everything else, and then that kind of leads us into the last thing I love about Strava, and that's the routes. So this is kind of, whenever I first moved to Denver, this is one of the first things I kind of looked up. And you can pretty much, there's most towns, big towns are on here. So you go and you get a little taste of some of the popular rides in town or whatever. And this one definitely has, I've done quite a few of these and a few I haven't. But there, this is kind of some of the ones I did when I first moved out here, and this one's a pretty good loop, the High Grade Deer Canyon loop there. It's got quite a bit of climbing, I don't know, pretty scenic, pretty fun. But, that's one tool there, is to, if you're going somewhere and you just kind of looking for some random routes or whatever. And then another thing is you can actually create routes. So a few of these are just uploaded from that list, but then some of these others are just some that I've made. I had like a loop, I know how to get from point A to point B, but then how do you get to point C? And so you can just drag and drop where your kind of your waypoints there, and it will create a route for you. And so you can do it based off this. You can base it off of just copy a good ride that you did or something, or went on, somebody took you on. So a sweet loop, and you can save it, create a route from it, or you can just try to make them up on the fly. So this is one I made up. I've never done it yet, but I'm just showing how easy it is to edit it. And this is essentially the same process when you're making it. You just click and put your point there, undo it if you need to, or whatever. But with the new modern computers, you can just import these routes right into your computer, and it's just going to give you like a nice breadcrumb line there just to follow or whatever. And so I don't know, I found it to be a super useful tool. And anyway, yeah, that's my 7 things that I really like about Strava, or I love about Strava. It seemed like they take a lot of bashing. Seen some videos that didn't quite agree with the whole thing, but I like it. I use it every day. It's pretty easy to use and super beneficial. So anyway, that's going to do it. See you guys next time.